let's dive in, and I would like to hear from you. What are the adoption challenges that you faced when implementing Salesforce? And when we say implementing Salesforce, are we talking about primarily implementing Salesforce as a CRM, right? Sales Service Cloud.
Yes. So that's the for all the implementations I've done in my career, there are two things that always stands out. The first one is the perceived usefulness of Salesforce, because it's not everybody who tends to recognize the value of uh, recording all your interactions so that it helps provide insight into a future interaction with the client. So folks don't actually have that tangible idea that, okay, if I record all my calls, if I do use it as a CRM, get all that, what am I going to get out of it? So you first have to, and that's a big challenge. That's the perceived challenge that you always have to overcome for folks
Right.
to be able to use Salesforce.
It's human nature,
Um,
right? What's in it for me?
Exactly. And then the next one is lack of leadership or managerial support. That's
Okay.
very important because um, we always say that if you can force adoption by saying if it's not in Salesforce, it doesn't exist. But if your manager is now bought into the idea of using the platform and you are not being forced to do it, and they only care about the results, then you will find alternatives to do certain things. So you
Right.
are not forced to use the platform as intended for it to be. So if you are able to overcome those two challenges, the perceived usefulness of what's in it for me, and then you are able to convince leadership to make sure that they support the frontline folks or the middle managers in making sure that folks are using the platform. I think you'll be successful in your Salesforce adoption journey.
And what you describe sounds like a very common challenge that many Salesforce customers experience, right? And I love that you boil it down to two things. I heard what's in it for me from a user
Yes.
perspective and from a management perspective. Is Salesforce the true system of record, right? For them to also play their part and drive the adoption. I've always thought of adoption that it's a little bit like from a management perspective, it's a little bit
Yes.
like the like wanting a six pack, right? It's the adoption six pack. Everybody wants it, but they gotta be able to put the effort, right? To be able to
Yes.
put the effort to work, to eat lean, to do the workouts, all these things, so that they can get to that, to drive, right, the new ways of working and enable change in their organizations. Do you see it that
Is
way?
Yeah, I see it that way because the perceived usefulness is not there and the force is not there, folks will always find an alternative to do things. They will say, okay, it's easier for me to use an Excel or use Outlook or
Right.
use something else to get the result. If all my manager cares about is me getting the result, then what does it matter for me to actually do all the things that you are telling me to do in a new system? And then one of the also the perceived usefulness is also comes with the name of Salesforce. So once you hear the word sales, people automatically default to the fact that, oh, I don't do any sales. I actually my work doesn't have
Yeah.
anything to do with sales. So
Right.
why should I use Salesforce? So
Right.
I mean, good or bad, the name sometimes confuses folks
The
as to
name,
what
yeah.
the exactly the platform actually does.
I heard that
So
before too. Yes, it's a little late, I think, to
no,
suggest to
no,
Mark Benioff to change the name, but it's a good observation. I've heard it before as well.